is up, Tube? Welcome back to another tutorial by Big Al's Barber channel. What we're gonna do on this young man right here is we're gonna do a razor fade, zero on the sides with a hard line and a comb over. So what we're gonna do right here quickly is I'm just trying to develop is find out where his hard line is gonna be at, and just scoot that hair over with some hair clips. And what we're gonna do quickly right here is we're gonna start off with our, like I always start off most of my cuts is with my balder, and just creating my first guideline all the way around, just a zero all the way around. Guys, again, I reiterate this all the time when I do these videos. If you guys aren't hip to getting a balder to do these first guidelines, I suggest you do. You'll save yourself so much money on just trimmer blades alone. A balder, zero gapped right here, and you can see it cuts it just like butter. And by zero gapping, guys, I'm just by eyeballing. I'm not doing nothing special, not doing no measuring, no nothing, just eyeballing it, just looking for the blade to be closed. And this is what it does. It just zero gaps it, gets it down to the ball, gets it down to almost like a razor. All I gotta do, I still gotta clean it up a little bit, yes, but it just saves a lot of time. If you guys aren't hip to this, I suggest you guys get onto this. This is a $40 machine that just saves so much headache and so much time. So you guys see the way I've started this first guideline. I do this with all my haircuts, guys. I really don't change it around too much. I'm very strict on how I do my haircuts. So as always, I do my haircuts in 3 different sides. I do one side. I always start on the same side. I always start on this first side right here. Do the back, this side, then the back side, and then I'll do the other side. So what I'm doing right here, guys, he wants a clean, tight, no lip on the sides right there. So what I'm just doing is I'm going with a number 2 Auster, and I'm just going right up to where the hard line is going to be at. The part's already there. Everything's already there. This is a former cut that comes in all the time, so I already know exactly how he likes it. He doesn't like a little lip. He doesn't like anything sticking out from the side right there. So I just take it nice and tight. Go with a number 2 all the way up. Once I go with that number 2, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab my Fabulous Gold FX, and I'm going to put on the number 1 clip. Number 1 clip, lever open, and I'm just going to go right up to almost to the same spot where I went with number 2. Almost to the same spot. As you can see, I'm just blending it out, just going straight up. Once I go across, I'm going to lower my lever 2 notches, and then I'm going to go only halfway up. And now I'm going to close it all the way, and I'm just going to go halfway up, all the way, halfway up. Almost to the same spot where when I went with the 2 notches, just kind of cleaned it up. Now I'm going to take off my number 1 blade. I'm going to take off my 1 clip, and it's going to be no blade, lever open. Before I do that, and I always do this, guys, is I'm just going to clean up that line. See, I created that guideline. There's still a little layer of hair there. So what I do is I go in right here with my trimmer, and I'm going to do what I call my shave shadow. So that's the line that I just created with that trimmer is where I'm going to shave up with my shaver, so that I never go into my fade. It's kind of a guideline thing that I create. So right here, no clip on the Fabulous, lever open, and I'm going to go up about 1 inch. Almost halfway up, as you can see. Right there, I created another guideline. Now I close it 1 notch, and I'm going to go back up to the same spot again. That's a good thing about doing this Fabulous. This Fabulous machine has the notches. Now close it 1 more notch. Now I'm going to go up halfway only. Halfway. Now I'm going to close 1 more notch, and I'm going to only concentrate on the bottom line. Just closed all the way. Just concentrating on the bottom line, pushing it up. And I can see the little shadow still there, so what I did is I opened it up 1 notch, and I pushed that center shadow up 1 more. Simple, guys. Now I'm going to go back with my trimmer, again, my GTX skeletonized trimmer, and I'm just basically raking that bottom line, just pushing it up, getting it nice and clean. Now all I have is that little center shadow right there, and I'm going to grab my half clip, lever open, and I'm just going to drag it across that center shadow. If you find this a strange way of fading, guys, it's really simple, Now I closed it another notch, and I'm just going across the same shadow again. And you can see the lines, the shadows fading away. Now I close it another notch, and I'm just raking that center shadow. Raking it softly, making sure that it goes up. And that's pretty much it to this fade, guys. This is the way I fade. This is the way I was taught. I fade from the top to the bottom, and then I fade. Then from the bottom I fade up to the middle, and then I fade out the middle line. I find this is the easiest, fastest way. Right here, I'm just using my trimmer again, and I'm just pushing up. I seen a little shadow at the very bottom. I'm just pushing it up, making sure that there's no bottom lines. You know, you never want any bottom lines, guys. That's the worst thing you can have when you're fading, is to have a line at the bottom of your fade. Now I saw a little shadow. After I went with the trimmer, I created a little shadow right there. So I'm just going back up with the babbless again. Lever, probably like 2 notches open, I would say. Once you develop that eye of the fade, you'll be able to know where exactly to put your machine and on what position to put your lever. You know, sometimes you just gotta mess with it. Go up and down, close a little bit, just detail. So that side looks complete now. We're gonna move on to the back side now. So on the back side, I'm gonna start off with a number 4, and the reason why I'm starting with a number 4, guys, instead of going with a number 2, is because on the back side you kind of want a little bit of a lip, and on this on the right side you also want a little bit of a lip also, because that's where the hair is gonna comb over. So right here I start off with a number 4, and number 4 is just to remove all the bulk. Just taking it all down. You can see I go up with a number 4 even on the other side. Just since I have the number 4 on there, it's just an easier way for me to take down the bulk, because number 4 is going to be the longest part of the haircut right there. So right here I'm going to create another guide now with my number 1 clip, lever open, and that's a 1.5. And I'm just going to go right up, and I'm going to create a little guide right there. You see that? Just number 1 all the way up. Number 1 lever opens, which is a 1.5. Once I go all the way across, what I did is I lowered the lever, closed it, and now I'm only going to go halfway up. Halfway up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my clipper over comb. Okay, I'm not going to grab my clipper over comb. I'm going to grab my GTX. Sorry about that. And I'm going to just create that shave line that I always talk about. See the shave line? See how I go up and down about an inch? That inch below, see the dark spot right there? That's where I'm going to shave up when I go up with my Braun Series 9. That way I never go into my fade. I never shave into my never shave into my fade. So right here I grab my clipper, my comb, and I'm going to do some clipper over comb. So basically when I started with my number 4, then I went with that 1.5. So now I'm just blending my number 1.5 into my number 4 using my, and this comb, I still have not got the name of it. Some people have been asking me what the name of this comb is. I don't have it. It is a carbon. It's made by a company called Carbon Pro. So right here I go back with my 1.5, and I'm just cleaning it up. Just cleaning it up. Make sure that it's all blended up properly on the side, because we went with the 1.5 into the number 4. I saw a little bit of shadow there, so I just wanted to clean it up. Now I take off my blade, lever open, and I'm going to create another guideline. See that I created that guide about 1 inch. Now I'm going to close the lever 1 notch, and I'm going to go back up to the same spot. Exact same spot, guys. Go all the way across, and now I'm going to lower my lever another notch, which is now halfway, and I'm going to go halfway up only. You can see that I'm only going halfway up. As I go across, I'm going to lower my lever 1 more notch, and now I'm just focusing on the bottom line. There's only 4 notches, so I'm going 4 notches up, 4 notches down. Now it's all closed, and I'm just basically trying to blend that bottom line. It's not going to all come all the way up. So what I do is I'm just working with my lever. I lower it a little bit, close it up a little bit, just trying to blend it all out. Trying to just mess with it. Blend the little shadows, push them up. Now I'm going to grab my trimmer again. Well, I didn't grab my trimmer. Sorry about that. I grabbed my half clip, and I'm just focusing on that center shadow. Just raking that center shadow, making sure that center shadow comes right up. Well, as I go across, I'm going to lower my lever another notch, and I'm just going across the other opposite way. See that? Now Close another notch. Now it's halfway open, and I'm just focusing, just blending that center shadow. Make sure it all blends right in. Now we move on to the next side. Again, quickly. Number 4, go straight up the side, guys. Remember, 4 is the longest part that's going to be on the side. That's on the parietal ridge. So, I mean, a lot of people do this differently. A lot of people do a clipper over comb. Some people go in there and create a guide first. I'm a speed racer, so I find this is the easiest way of doing it. So I go with the number 4. Now I'm going to go with my number 1 clip, lever open again, and I'm going to go up right up to the bottom of the crown, guys. Bottom of the crown, just creating a guideline right there. See that guide? So we went with our 4 first, and then a 1.5. So now we're going to come back with our clipper over comb again, and you're just going to blend that out from a 1.5 to a number 4. You could do this many ways. You could do this steps. It could take you a long time doing steps. You could do it, some people do it with scissors. Some people do it with thinning shears. I find that the easiest way of doing it is clipper over comb. And you know what? Some people think that this is the hardest way of doing it. But me, like I said, I'm a kind of a speed guy. So, I just find the easiest way of doing things, and I just run with it. So right there, I clipper over combed it, left a little bit of a darker shadow. So now I'm going back up with the 1.5 again, lever open, and I'm just blending that shadow out. Now that we got that shadow nice and blended out, now I'm going to take off my clip. And what I'm going again, I'm creating my shadow line with my GTX. Just cleaning up all the little hairs below that. That way right now when I go back with my Braun Series 9, it's very simple. It's already nice and clean right there. No lever, no clip on, lever open, and I'm going to create a guide again. About 1 inch up. Maybe 3/4 of an inch. See how I just pointed it out to you? There's a shadow right there. Now I lower my lever, lower my 1 notch again, and I'm gonna go back up to the same spot. Close my notch 1 more time, and now I'm only gonna go halfway up. Halfway up. See the bottom shadow that I just pointed to? Now I'm gonna lower my lever all the way close, and that's the shadow that I'm focusing right there. I move the ear down, and see how I move the earlobe down? That's the way that you gotta go. You have to move that earlobe down and push your machine right up in there, and just blend that little shadow out. Now if that shadow doesn't come all the way up, guys, remember there's a solution for that. You grab your GTX or you grab your trimmer and you go the opposite way, go upwards, raking it, and then that'll bring it up. That's in case that you can't get that line out with the machine. Just like I'm doing right there. See how I'm just raking that bottom shadow, making sure that you fade that line out. And once I did that, I created another little shadow. So I'm going back again with my Fabulous, no clip, probably about 2 notches closed, maybe 3 notches closed. The notches are there for a reason, guys. If you go up with a notch and you don't feel it, or it sounds like it's not grabbing anything, or you can't hear it cutting, then you gotta move your notch up 1 more. So right here I grab my half clip, lever open, and I'm just basically working on that center shadow that we created with a half. Once I go across, I lower the lever another 1/4 way, and I'm just focusing on that center shadow, blending it all out. A lot of times, guys, people or a lot of young barbers, this is the hardest part of the fade for them, is a part where the comb over flops over, where you're gonna have the little ridge right there. And then it's hard because, especially like say on this youngster right here, he has very dark hair. He has lighter skin under his hair, so when you cut that hair off, it really shows. And if you leave any kind of line there, it's gonna show dramatically. It's better to have a nice clean fade, no lines in the bottom. Just double checking on my work right here, just trying to blend it out as best that I can. Just detail work, guys. Detail work is so important at the end of every fade. Just making sure that your lines, there's no shadows. Just the line at the bottom is just, I know that's the hardest part. When I was first learning how to fade, that was my hardest part, was getting that bottom line. I just could not get it out. So right here now, I'm gonna start up with my Braun Series 9. Remember, I created that shave shadow, that shadow line I call the shave shadow line. I created it so that way when I go up right now with my Braun Series 9, I'm not gonna go any higher than I went when I faded it out. See right there, I just pointed it to. That's the line that I'm staying below. I'm not gonna go above that little line that I just pointed out, that imaginary line. I can see it. It's a little harder to tell right here, but see, now that I did that side right there, and you can see the opposite side, you can see the opposite side has a lot of stubble. So that's all the stubble that's got to be cleaned up. And that's why it's always important, like, to create that shadow line. That way when you go up with your shaver, you don't go too high. You don't want to go too high and create another shadow, create another line with your shaver. The shadow line that you create with your shaver is the hardest line to get out. Mark my words. You don't want to have to deal with that. Especially if you're a young and inexperienced barber, it's better to stay in your lane. Stay where you're supposed to be at. Don't, just because you see a little spot, don't go in there with your shaver and try to clean it out. You're just gonna mess up your fade. I've done it before myself, trust me. The other day on one of my Q&As on one of my videos, one of my subs asked me how long it took me to learn how to fade like this, guys. And I told them it took me about 3 to 4 years to really get my fades down super clean. And even then, it took me a while to really get at it. It's just doing your reps. You have to do you have to do the haircuts. If you don't do reps and you don't do haircuts, guess what? You're not gonna get good at this. It's just a matter of doing the most reps that you can. Every time a haircut comes in, you jump in it, do the best that you can, and eventually the speed will come and you'll get better at it. Trust me, it's just a matter of working at it. Some people get it faster than others. I'm not lying when it took me 2 years to actually learn how to fade, when I've already taught people how to fade in a few weeks, and it took me a lot longer. So right here, we're moving on quickly onto the top now. The top is it's a comb over. You can see it's not very long, so it's just gonna be more of a light trim. So what I do is, as always, I always saturate the hair completely. I like when I cut the hair, it has to be wet. I don't like cutting the hair when it's dry, so I always get it very, very wet. And you see the combs that I'm using right here? These are the new steel combs that I've been using. If you're interested in purchasing them, guys, I've provided links for every tool that I have, everything that I use. I provide links at the bottom that you could have these items delivered straight to your house from Amazon. This right here, this comb is nice. It's a steel metal comb. It's the size of a barber comb, and it's very easy to use, and they never wear out. It's a great thing about them, and they're very cheap, very inexpensive. There's several links on there. There's one for $5.99. There's one for $1.99. They're exact same ones. I would go with the $1.99 if I was you. So right there, I'm creating my first guideline, guys, and I'm just pushing the hair over. Once I cut it across, I started on the side where the hard part was, because I already know that I want for that part to lay over, and I could tell that it was really long on that part. So I always start off on the side where the hard part is. That's just the way I start. From there, I'm gonna move over to the center of it. But right there, I could just tell that I missed a spot in the back, so I'm just fading that part out, cutting that part out. So right here, once I move over, I move over one section over. Same thing, just lifting up a section, taking off about an inch. As I lift that up, I can see the guideline that I created when I went over in the first section. It's about an inch, guys. These are steel metal tooth combs that are static free, and they're very easy to clean. I just like them. I like them a lot. I've been on them pretty good. Plus, they look really cool in this video with this gold, doing the golden haircuts with the golden bablets and the golden combs. Oh yeah, that's just what it's got to be like. You got to provide that golden service, guys. You got to step it up. Provide buy yourself the right tools. Investing in your tools is never a bad thing. To have the best of your equipment to make your job easier. Trust me, guys. I see a lot of barbers struggling with old equipment, and sometimes I wonder, like, why, spend a little bit of money, invest in your tools, and it makes your job a lot easier. So right there is pretty much done on the top. It was just like I said, it was just a trim. We're just taking off about an inch. It wasn't very long. Uh, uh, we just took off maybe about an inch, not too much. So right here, what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna adjust that side real quick, comb it over a little bit, and do a little bit of clipper over comb. Cause when I turned them over, I noticed there was a little bit of a lip. And this is what I always do when I do my clipper over, when I do my comb overs. I do the top, and once I do the top, then before I gel them up or put pomade on them, I like to go back and do one last look on the side right there, and make sure that it all blends in nice and tight. See, I comb it over, and that way I can make sure that lip is not too dark, or that it's just blended out properly. You don't want to leave that too thick right there, because if you leave it too thick, then especially if the way I go tight on the sides, on the other side where I went with the number 2, if you leave it too thick right there, then you'll make the head look lopsided. You don't want to do that. Sometimes it happens, but these youngsters these days, I can always tell when a youngster wants the part side very tight, because they're usually youngsters. Older gentlemen will want a little bit of a lip, or they want a little bit more thickness, you know. But youngsters, they don't like that. They just want it nice and tight on that side. So right there, I'm just going up with a 1.5 again, just making sure that the sides look symmetrical to the other side. Just getting it nice and tight, making sure that it's all blended out. The art of the fade, guys. The art of the fade. You know, this is something that is developed. You know, it's just repetitious. The more reps you get in, the better you're gonna get at this. Don't give up. Don't get discouraged. Trust me. When I first got out of barber school, man, did I struggle with fades. It was the hardest thing for me. It took me a while to learn how to fade. You know, and for the longest, I would try to talk people out of getting fades. I would want them like, you want a regular haircut? Do you want a... My favorite haircut at that time was a 1.5. That was the best haircut I could do. I always try to talk people into a 1.5, and that's just, it was. I was a rookie. I really, you know, that's until I learned how to fade, and I really jumped into it, and I said I have to learn these, and I want to get good at it, and you could be like that too. You know, just gotta get into it. So what I did right there, guys, is I provided some Suavecito grooming spray, and what I'm doing is I'm gonna use some pomade on this gentleman. So I always use some Suavecito grooming spray, which is kind of like a hair spray. It's a hair setter. Spray it on there, and what I'm using is I'm using a regular roller brush, 1-inch roller brush, and I'm just rolling it. As you can see, I just roll it. As I roll it, it provides some volume for the top. You just roll it over. Once you roll it over like that, it dries it, and it lifts up the front a little bit. That way, when you provide your pomade, you're gonna get a nice little lift, and it's gonna get a nice little lift in the front and on the sides. And of course, guys, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but when you apply a pomade, you should apply pomade with the hair dry. It's never good to apply the pomade where the hair is wet, especially if you're using a water-soluble pomade, because it just eats it up. You're wasting your pomade. You're not getting anything out of it. So what I did right here is I'm using some Tip Top pomade. That's my go-to pomade always. I like Tip Top. Tip Top holds great. So I'm just providing a top layer more than anything. Not really digging into the hair, because I already blow dried it to the direction that I wanted it. I'm just providing a nice little top layer. This young gentleman right here, he did not want a hard line, so we did not do a hard line for him. He wanted to keep it natural. You know, it is just up to the customer. Some customers like that hard line look, and some customers, they just don't. They just want to keep it natural. This young gentleman right here was he wanted to keep it natural again. So no hard line for him. As I'm combing the hair over now, again, this is the static free comb that I got, and I'm just combing it over, getting a nice little lift in the front. The back I comb it to the side, and this is where I do my last part of the detail work. Just making sure that everything combs over, that I cut enough hair on the top, because right here at this point, when you comb over the hair, you'll be able to tell if you miss a spot, because it'll bundle up on it and it'll create like a little dark shadow spot on top. So then you gotta just make adjustments and clean it up. At this point, usually what I do now is I'm gonna grab my clipper over comb again, using the babbless, and I'm just gonna, with the lever closed, and I'm basically just, any little hair that sticks out. You gotta look at it from all angles, guys. Not just from the front where I'm looking at it from there. You gotta look at it from all angles. You look at it from the back, you look at it from the front. You always wanna look at your haircut at the end from the front, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna provide that customer with a mirror to look at, and what he's gonna do is he's gonna look at his ears, his forehead, he's gonna look at the sides of his head, and the only way he's gonna get a look that you don't get unless you look at it from the front. So it's always to take a peek from his view of the mirror. Just keep that in mind. Right here I'm just working on the fade, just kind of just doing a little bit of detail work, making sure that it fades out and it looks nice and tight. So again, guys, this haircut is provided to you guys in real time. I didn't speed it up. I've been trying to do my videos in real time, just to prove to you guys that it doesn't take an hour to do a haircut. It can be done in less than a half hour. If you're working on an appointment book, you know, it's always good to get your appointments a little faster. So right here I'm just getting a little bit of detail work, just getting them all cleaned up, making sure that the top looks good. Cleaned up the back, the other side already, where the hard part, where the part side is. So now I'm gonna go to this side again and just work on this side, making sure that it's all nice and tight, all nice and cleaned up, no hair sticking out, no too many dark shadows. And look at the look on my face. Oh my god, that is a face of concentration, guys. That's all I can say about that. That's all I can say about that. Somebody tells me that I make funny faces when I'm cutting hair, and now I believe it. Look at this. But that's a face of concentration. That's all I can say about that. So right there, I'm just blending it out, getting it nice and tight, making sure that there's no shadows, nothing sticking out, making sure that it looks nice and clean. I think our customers, that's pretty much it for this haircut. There's nothing much more to it, guys. This is an everyday haircut that I do several times a day. Keep grinding, keep working at it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below. If you guys haven't subscribed to this channel, I suggest you guys to subscribe to it. Click the little bell button, that way you guys get notification every time that I vlog, every time that I drop a new tutorial, I do a product review, guys. I appreciate every single one of you guys, and grind on.